Once upon a time, the LA Clippers moved on from a young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the hopes that they could win now with a pair of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Fast forward to today, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an MVP winner, the most valuable player in the league, a lethal scorer who has averaged 30 points a game the past 3 seasons, among the best players in the entirety of the association, and he is the head of the championship favorite Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's break down the journey of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA was born in Toronto, Canada on July 12th, 1998. Coming out of high school, he was considered a four-star recruit by ESPN, and he would go on to play college basketball at the University of Kentucky. In committing to the Wildcats, he would join a long list of successful point guards who had played for that organization, that university. The likes of John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, Eric Bledsoe, and now you had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He would play one season at Kentucky, averaging 14.4 points a night and 5.1 assists. And the accolades, they were just racking up for him. He would be named to the SEC All-Freshman team, the 2017-18 All-SEC team, the 2018 All-SEC Tournament team, and the SEC Tournament MVP. It would be a very successful one-and-done season for SGA at Kentucky, and then he was headed to the NBA draft. Coming to the draft, SGA was someone who was seen as having excellent height and length for a lead guard, a very good scorer, and also someone with incredible body control. And he had turned from a four-star recruit going to Kentucky, who in terms of that recruiting class was not the most heralded, to Kentucky's best prospect that season. And that rapid development was a testament to his development and ability and willingness to put in the extra effort and extra time to iron out his game. Coach Calipari called him his hardest worker and most coachable player that season. And very, very interestingly, Eric Urin, per NBADraft.net, said this regarding his outlook as an NBA prospect. Quote, fit will be important for him early in his career, as will having a veteran point guard mentor to help him develop into a true point guard, end quote. We will get back to that later. Now we have arrived to the NBA draft, the 2018 draft, and with the 11th pick, the Charlotte Hornets would select Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, point guard, Kentucky. He would then, on the same day, be traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. His rookie season for the Clippers, he would play all 82 games and start 73 of them. The production was serviceable, especially for a rookie, with 10.8 points per game and 3.3 assists. That following season, though, he would find himself with a new home, because the Los Angeles Clippers, well, they were rolling the dice and they were all in on Kawhi Leonard in building a championship contender around him. And with that, SGA didn't fit the timeline. He might have been sixth in Rookie of the Year voting, but for the Clippers, he was not the answer. Instead, they wanted Paul George on the roster, and they would make a move for PG, trading away SGA and a buttload of picks to the Thunder. And in year two, SGA would make a major leap already, up to 19 points a night, remaining at 3.3 assists, but also upping his rebound average to 5.9 compared to 2.8 the prior year. And remember that quote from Eric Urin about how SGA could use a veteran point guard mentor? Guess who he's got in OKC? He's got Chris Paul, one of the smartest minds to ever play basketball. And now he got the chance to mentor SGA. Alongside Chris Paul, SGA would take on more of the shooting guard role. And this period in time also allowed him to focus in on his defensive efforts, which would pay off later. Because in regards to the importance of defense per position, the point guard is often the central offensive hub for the team. And with that, they might have lesser responsibilities defensively because of every contribution that they make for you on offense. But for SGA, in playing his second season as a shooting guard, that allowed for him to focus in even more of his efforts on defense, as well as allow for his offense to improve. Not to do one and forsake the other, but to allow them to mutually coexist and round out his game. So 19 points a night his second year, and in year three, he would only play 35 games. But now he was up to 23.7 points a night, and with the absence of Chris Paul, he would take on more of that lead guard role. So 23.7 points a night, but also 5.9 assists. And one thing I forgot to mention a second ago with Chris Paul, the OKC Thunder during SGA's second year, in his first year as a member of the Thunder, they employed a three guard lineup a lot of the time. And it was very, very effective. That was Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, and SGA. And the reason it was effective, in spite of having three guards out there and the perhaps lacking stature of Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder, is that all three of these guys were more than capable of holding their own defensively. And so that made them able to be really, really impactful in spite of being a little bit smaller lineup. And this defensive impact will continue throughout SGA's career. So year three, the stats go up. Chris Paul is gone. The Thunder, they're in very much a rebuild year. In SGA, he only plays 35 games, but the production is looking on the up. And now it's year four, the 2021-22 NBA season. SGA, he's looking as good as ever. 24.5 points a night. Still got that 5.9 assists. It's looking like this is going to be the keystone in your franchise for years to come. Now, it's the 2022-23 season, and the Thunder, they're building around SGA. In the 22 draft, they grab Chet Holmgren and Jalen Dub Williams. And Chet gets hurt before his rookie year can even begin. J-Dub has a very good rookie season. And for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's taken another leap to 31.4 points a game. He not only gets his first All-Star appearance, but he is also an All-NBA member. He finishes 5th in MVP voting. Thunder, they wind up being the 10 seed, but now it looks like the future is bright in Oklahoma City. And maybe next year they'll be the 4 seed around that mark, is kind of the idea in the mind of a lot of fans. There's still a lot of youth on this team. SGA is incredible, but you got to wait for J-Dub and Chet Holmgren to develop. Or so a lot of us thought. I know I did. But the next season, in 2023-24, the Thunder accelerate past that timeline. They are tied for the 1 seed with the Denver Nuggets in the West, winning 57 games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's 30 points a night once again. It was not just a fluke year in regards to production. He is here to stay as an elite scorer in the league. And with this, he finishes second in MVP voting. He is once again an All-Star and All-NBA team member. And remember that point about defense, how he is able to be impactful both offensively and defensively. And that makes him among the elite, even if he's having an off night, especially because of that development early on with him playing shooting guard. Well, he was 7th in Defensive Player of the Year voting this season. And for the OKC Thunder, they sweep the Pelicans in the first round, but lose in 6 to the Dallas Mavericks in round number 2. But this team, with their youth, with Chet Holmgren getting his first year now after being injured his rookie season, with J-Dub having his second season under his belt, this team, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. And then we get to this year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is the MVP of the league, averaging his most points ever, and he beats out Nikola Jokic, a generational center, one of the best players offensively that we've ever seen. But SGA, he edges him out for that award. He's, of course, an All-Star, of course, an All-NBA first-team member. Chet Holmgren deals with some injuries, but when he's on the court, he's impactful. J-Dub is an All-Star for the first time in his career, as well as an All-Defensive team member. And so is Lou Dort, a defensive team member. And you combine all these factors, the OKC Thunder, they win 68 games in the regular season. Without a doubt, the number 1 seed in the West. And they go from the 10 seed a couple years ago to being tied for the 1 seed to now being the definitive number 1 seed. The OKC Thunder accelerated past any timeline that one could have set forth for them in terms of development and being patient. And at the head of all of that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, now named the most valuable player in the NBA. And in the playoffs, his production is still elite. In the regular season, he has most points per game ever. In the postseason, he's maintaining that pace for the most part. And the thing about SGA's game on offense is the fact of, as we stated when we were talking about him as a prospect, about his body control and how he's able to manipulate defenders. He's maintained that and even exemplified it. So now, even if he's having an inefficient night, which doesn't happen too often for Shai, he's still able to maintain that 30 points a night production because he can get to the line. He can manipulate the defense, contort his body, and get to the line for a couple of points. And you don't have to like it. You can call him a free throw merchant, but it's effective at maintaining his scoring. and keeping the Thunder as a high functioning offense, but they're also very functional on defense. And SGA, having him as your point guard, he's able to be a leader for that because he's incredible on both ends of the court. And with that, that sets the culture for your entire team. When your offensive hub, when your primary scorer is also giving a ton of effort defensively, that can motivate the rest of your team to do so as well, because now it doesn't feel like your lead guard is taking any time off. So the other guys, they don't want to do it either. They want to support him and build a great defensive and offensive unit around him. And that's precisely what they've done. And for the Thunder as a whole, it's been a pretty good playoff for them. They had a close series against the Denver Nuggets, but against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, they won pretty decisively, 4-1. And when you're facing this team at home, they're very, very difficult to beat. Now they are headed to the NBA Finals, and they are led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a superstar in every sense of the word, who joined a long line of successful NBA point guards out of Kentucky. Seized the opportunity when he left the Clippers and was given more of a role with OKC Thunder in year 2 and beyond. Learned from his mentor in Chris Paul. Found his defensive capabilities alongside CP3 and Dennis Schroeder, and now those have all combined, as well as his progression and development, willingness to grow over the years, and the team that the Thunder put around him, especially with Chet Holmgren and J-Dub. Now he is the MVP of the league, the most valuable player that there is. And he is the head of the championship favorite OKC Thunder. Call him what you want, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar. He is an elite scorer, the epitome of a great two-way player at that point guard spot. And pretty soon, we might not just be calling him the MVP, but the Finals MVP as well. And given the youth of this team, given the fact that SGA is only 26 years old and has not once been fazed by the bright lights by being on the biggest stage of them all, we could be seeing this dominance, this excellence for years to come. It's SGA's world, and we're all just living in it.